Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Well, as you can see, I got a new little RC car on the table today. This is a new one from DRC. It's the 9309E. Now this is brush motor powered, as you can see here, and it's 1/16 scale, so it's rather small, but it has a kind of that cool look, and I thought, man, that looks familiar. Like, oh yeah. Well, they're trying to go for that same look that they use on the 1/14th Big Brother here. This is a brushless powered one, and it goes like 50 miles an hour. This one's gonna be a lot slower being brushed, but it has a red like shocks that also kind of matches the shocks inside here. You can kind of see it there. And these actually are oil-filled shocks that they've actually included with this. It doesn't say anywhere in the instruction manual that I could see or on the box, but it actually, according to the Amazon listing, it's oil filled, and I'll show you in a minute. They do feel like that they could be oil filled, but I haven't popped them open to actually confirm that yet. Let's go ahead and look underneath the body here, and you can see this is where our 2S lithium ions go. So here is one of those batteries. They give you two of them. Now there's no balance plug on them, and it uses that proprietary connector, so you've got to use the included charger. That kind of stinks, so you can't use a hobby grade charger to charge that up unless you swapped connectors. But you have a USB charger, you have a 4-way wheel wrench in there, a dust brush in there, and a Phillips screwdriver as well. And here is the controller. The controller is a very basic, very toy grade controller. On and off, you got your steering trim, and you have your throttle rates here, max, minimum. It takes two AA batteries. Very cheap feeling, but again, for something like this, it's not too bad. So you have your 2-in-1 ESC receiver here with your power button on top. Of course, like I said, your battery goes here. Here's a little steering servo. It looks like this is one of those 5-wire steering servos that are not as great. You couldn't swap one out for your standard 3-wire one, but it should serve the purpose just fine for this little RC car because it is proportional, so it's not like it's all or nothing steering. You always can tell that on these cheaper cars is if there's a little dial on the bottom, that's because it doesn't have proportional steering, and this absolutely does, as you would come to expect. Now, it's a decent amount of plastic parts. Your tie rods and stuff are plastic, but it seems to be a decent compound plastic. It is all-wheel drive, so we've got metal dog bones here in the front and the rear, so that is good to see. And you have a wheelie bar on the back, so we'll have to see if it's fast enough that it actually needs that. Hopefully it does, otherwise it would just be for looks. It would be sort of just dead weight. Your tires aren't too bad. There's no foam or anything in there. You can tell by the way it squeaks, but it's a decent rubber that ought to get pretty decent traction. And this wire run to the front is for these little LEDs. I assume they're going to be white. I've not actually turned it on yet or charged up the batteries to see. And here are all those shocks again, and they look decent. I mean, it's nice to see a decent set of shocks on a more toy grade level RC car. But I've not opened them to confirm this oil, but it does feel like it. They're pretty soft, so I'm going to take the Amazon listing's word for it. If I don't remember to open them up, if one of you guys get it and does, let me know in the comments if it is oil filled or not. I'll try to look at that later, but if I happen to forget, we will go by the information on the Amazon listing and assume that that is correct for this little car. So what we'll do now is, I'm going to get this outside. I want to drive it around a little in the front, just get an idea on a guesstimate of the speed, and maybe put my ramp out there and just see how this jumps. Since it does have decent shocks, it ought to handle the jumps a little bit better than you might typically see on one of these little RC cars. So that's enough jibber jabber. Let's get this car outside and drive it around, so I'll be right back. Okay, let's take the 9309E out now and do a little test run here. Now they rate this truck at 40 kilometers per hour on the Amazon listing. That's roughly 25 miles per hour. I don't know if it's going to do that. I don't have my GPS reader on. That's really large. I could put it on here, but I usually can get a pretty good idea just by looking at it if it's even close to the listed speed. Now I have my little ramp here, and I think this ramp is small for my big cars, but it ought to be perfect for this little car. I also noticed that there's some really cool blue LEDs that should give this car kind of a cool underglow, but it's too bright here in the daytime, and I didn't notice it yesterday when I was messing with it in the basement, oddly enough. But I think this would be cool at night. I don't know how well this is going to show up my head cam right now, but there's basically 8 little blue LEDs, strip LEDs inside there that's showing up. It ought to give it an underglow, but as you can see when I set it here on my mailbox, you can't really see that now. It's going to have to be done at nighttime, and so that's a cool feature, but it's not going to be useful for most of the time unless you're running this at night. So let's go ahead now and let's take this little truck out here and see how it does. Now, the speed here is all the way to the max. So we do have it all the way up. It is pretty quick. And now it's a 380 brush motor. So in the table review there, I wasn't sure the motor size, but that's what the motor size is. It's a 380 brush motor. Let's just see how it does on a ramp here. If I can hit it. It's very, very, very quick acceleration, and it's really good steering. Really quick turns on a dime. Very, very quick steering. Start to get a little better run at the ramp here. I'm not the greatest hitting these ramps, and even though this is small, that ramp is still small, so it is not always easy to hit it. Say I missed it. Ideally, I'd have a much wider ramp, then you have a lot more margin of error. But this is something my brother gave me. Oh, and it's made for bicycles, skateboards, and RC cars. As I mentioned, it's not very ideal for RC cars because it's so small. But this one should be better on it, but even then I still have to be able to hit it. And like I said, it's just, especially when you're switching between RC cars, you know, each one's a little bit different. But I do think those oil-filled shocks, they certainly are performing as an oil-filled shock. Whoa! Oh, it didn't land up on its wheels. Yeah, I know I'm pretty lousy at hitting that ramp, but then again, like I said, this ramp is really small. It is certainly not ideal. Let's see if I can hit the ramp here. I want to make sure we got no cars coming first. Get the Amazon truck. Now let's see if I can hit it. Oh, I missed it again. Tell you what, the steering's really sensitive. The slightest input, and I'm off. You know, I'm off center, so it's almost too sensitive. But I think this, you know, the steering trim is all it has there. It doesn't really have like a dual rates on that. So getting the you know, the steering lined up and get how you want. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. Some cars are easier than others. This one is, yeah, not too bad. Well, while we got good battery power, so let's just get an idea on what kind of top speed it looks like we're going to get. And it definitely needs some steering trim now to the left. So it's certainly pulling. Let's try that again. Make sure I didn't do it the wrong way. Yeah, I did it the wrong way. Whoa, that is really going far to the right. That looks better. That's not too bad. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty quick and it's very quiet too. Like I said, it's just really sensitive on the steering. I would say that's probably somewhere in between 15 and 20 miles per hour. There's no way that's 25. So as you come to expect on all these RC cars, you get a slightly inflated top speed. It's also possible that this could handle maybe a 3-cell, and maybe they did this with a 3-cell test, but you know, that little 2S lithium ion, be hard pressed to find a 3S pack small enough to fit in there. But sometimes you see that too, a little bit less than genuine on the speeds, because sometimes they just simply use a bigger voltage battery and they don't tell you that. I don't think that's the case here. I doubt this would be really compatible with 3S. I suspect this is just slightly inflated numbers. So, you know, all these Amazon sellers are competing against each other, and it's not an excuse, it's just a fact that they all tend to exaggerate the top speed on these little trucks and cars. But it's very smooth and very quiet. Listen to that. It's one of the quietest RC cars. I think that's partially because these tires and that compound and the size and, you know, oil-filled shocks, everything's just helping this car to be really stable and smooth. Aside from the twitchy steering, I think this is pretty good. Let's just see now. This is really small at 1/16 scale, but how would this do in my grass? The grass is a little bit shaggy, but it's not too bad. But I suspect it's not going to do very well because of its size. But it is able to go through it. That's all that matters. It's not getting topped or stopping and not being able to go. See, it struggles a little, but at least it's not. Now you can see here when you come to a stop, especially in taller grass, it is getting topped. It's just topping out on top of the grass. As long as you got some momentum going, it seems to be able to handle the grass. But it's going to struggle if the grass is very tall, and you got to make sure you keep it throttle on it. If you come to a stop, well, I'll stop. If I go again, will it go? Yeah. Just depends on how tall the grass is. So do keep that in mind on this little guy. It's going to struggle a little bit. Ideally, I'd like to see this brushless. I mean, the HBX and some companies like that have made some brushless 1/16 scales. Forget what the one model was. It was so popular. And those were similarly priced, and that was years ago. So ideally, it'd be nice if this was brushless. Especially with it having that similar look to that Hypergo DRC that I was talking about earlier, that in the video, where it looked a lot like that. It looked a lot like that truck. They have a very, very similar look. One last thing here is the wheelie bar. Now, from a dead stop, it doesn't even try to ride a wheelie. So I wonder if I go backwards, will it? Because I wonder if is that wheelie bar necessary, at least on 2S, or is it just dead weight? So let's try it. Reverse, forward, no. So that wheelie bar is just not needed. Again, it does make me think a little bit towards the idea of, could this be a truck that they've thrown a 3S in before? Because maybe with the 3S, it needs the wheelie bar. On 3S, I think 25 miles per hour probably would be possible. But I don't know if that ESC receiver combo can handle it. You'd have to find a 3S that has that goofy connector, and you probably won't. And if you're able to rig up a 3S in here and you blew out the receiver in the ESC combo, then the truck's pretty much useless. So my opinion on this truck is it's a very smooth rider, very smooth, very quiet. It handles exceptionally well, but it tends to be really twitchy on the steering. I like the look of it a lot. It can handle the grass just okay, but if you come to a stop, it may struggle. But the biggest gripe I have to say is this wheelie bar is just useless. So what I would recommend doing is, there's some screws here. I would take this off. It's just not needed. Now, is it gonna, you know, that's so little weight, I don't think you're gonna see any noticeable difference. It's like the car's gonna be faster with it off, but it's just not needed. It doesn't ride a wheelie. No matter what I try, it won't ride a wheelie on 2S. All right, guys, that wraps up the review here of the little DRC truck. If you're interested in this, there will be a purchase link down in the video description. It was around 80, I think it was around 80 bucks with like a 30% off coupon. Don't hold me to that because that stuff changes a lot. But make sure you do clip the coupon. It'll drop it down to a very reasonable price. And of course, with Amazon, you can get it in 2 days or less. And there's easy returns and all that good stuff if you needed to return the product. So if you're new to the channel, guys, and I also noticed there's some white LEDs that are hidden under the bumper I couldn't see. I thought there was just 2. There's actually 4 there. Again, all that'll be easy to see at night. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to click the subscribe button. While you're at, click the bell or select all so you're notified of all notifications. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.